Yes, you. Welcome to the You're Not Getting Any Younger podcast, a podcast for people who want to disrupt their lives for a good reason, to make it count. I'm your host, Jen Glantz, and every week I'll drop a new episode with stories from real people just like you, who woke up one morning and decided to make big changes, starting with small things. We'll cover topics like entrepreneurship, love, failure, and self-care. Hey, you're not getting any younger, so let's make this an adventure. Ready? Hey, any youngers, it's me, your host, Jen Glantz, back with another episode of the You're Not Getting Any Younger podcast. What is going on? Wishing you a wonderful start to the fall season. Here's the thing about fall. It is my favorite season beyond anything else. And I think that's the case because growing up in Florida, spending more than half of my life so far living in Florida, we didn't have seasons. We just had summer year round. We had 1 to 5 days every year where the weather was in the 60s, but other than that, you could guarantee that a Florida day was anywhere between 75 and 95 degrees. That was like the typical weather of Florida year round. So when I moved to New York, that was my first way of experiencing seasons. It's almost been 10 years. And at first, when people would say on first dates or job interviews or, whenever people ask the standard question of what's your favorite season, I would not really know how to respond. I never knew what my favorite season was. But after a while, experiencing the weather changes, exploring parts of New York outside of the city and just the East Coast in general, I have become somebody who absolutely adores fall. I love the weather. I love how it feels. I love how it's not too cold, but it's not too hot, which I know is such a cliche thing to say, but I really feel that. And I love the energy in the air. More than just about the season, it's the time of year that I love, because to me, it's like this waiting period, this holding period before we're pushed into the end of the year. And this right now is what determines how we're going to close the year out. You've heard me say it on this podcast before, but I always like to visualize myself on December 31st of a year. What do I want to say I accomplished? What do I want to say I have done? Who do I want to be able to say that I truly am? And then I work backward. A big thing about this year is I had a lot of goals, and a lot of those goals didn't happen, didn't work out, and that's okay. But now we're in this period, this time of year where we have the opportunity to look at ourselves and say, okay, what do we want to do now so that we can close out this year in a way that we're proud of, in a way that we truly feel fits who we are. Because it's the start of fall, I want to talk about this post-summer sadness that we typically start to feel in the month of September that carries over into early fall. People start to say, okay, summer is over and I have nothing to look forward to. And I don't really love when people say that, because the truth is, for a lot of people, summer is a time of relaxation. It's a time to get away. It's a time of vacation. And once that ends, they think they have to walk themselves back into a world of boringness and to-do lists and staring at their calendar. But instead of everyone making you feel weird or sad or bad about the summer season ending, I think it's about trying to let go of times in our lives without all of this emotion that truly doesn't belong there. I'll give you an example. Last week, Adam and I cleaned out our apartment for honestly like the 25th time this year. If you were to ask me what I do for fun, what's my hobby, I would say it's cleaning out my apartment, because pretty much every time I have a free hour, I clean out something. By this point, you would think we would have bare bones, we'd have nothing, but there's always stuff that lingers. So last week, we finally did like this deep clean out. We took out probably like 10 bags to donate. We took out a ton of trash. We just took out so much. And we did that because our lease was up and we weren't sure if we were going to stay or go. So regardless of what decision we were going to make, we figured having a clean apartment, giving away things we don't need, would ultimately make it easier if we had to move or if we decided to stay. So we said goodbye to so many things we hardly needed, but took up so much space in our lives. We live in an apartment that's around 500 square feet, which is relatively small. Honestly, I've been in New York for 10 years. 500 square feet to me feels huge, but for some of you who live in other cities, other states where you have places that are a lot bigger, you might hear 500 square feet and think, Jen, that is the size of my kitchen. And if that is the case, please invite me over. I would love to see that. That is awesome. But in a 500 square foot apartment, really every single piece of this apartment needs to feel like home, and it can't be cluttered. It can't just have random things. So we're very selective about what we bring into this apartment because it's going to be a big part of the decor of this apartment and the vibe of this apartment. But when we were cleaning out the apartment, we noticed that we had so many things tucked away in spaces that we don't need. We had 16 pieces of glass cup Tupperware. We never actually used Tupperware. We had old rugs stuffed behind the washing machine. We had 6 different dog carriers for Goofy that either don't fit her or she'll never use. For some reason, Adam has this fascination of putting Goofy in a backpack and biking all over with her. But A, she's too big, and B, she's just not that kind of dog. Like, it's not going to happen. But every couple of months, he buys a brand new backpack, and he realizes again that this dream is probably not going to come to reality. So we had a whole pile of these dog carriers, these dog backpacks. I also found stacks and stacks of books. And within these stacks, there was multiple copies of the same book, because sometimes when I love a book, I buy it so many times. I don't know why I do this, but I find that when I love something, I just want it more around me. And I used to do that a lot with books. We took some trips to the donation center. We unloaded it all. I gave some away to people who needed some of this stuff. And whether or not, again, we stay in this apartment, we now feel like it's a little bit more clean. But I'm trying to get ahead of the decision making in my life, of letting go of what I can control and what I can't. A big part about why we are scared to give away this apartment is because of all of the memories it stores. We moved in here about 3 years ago after traveling around the country for 2 years of our lives, living in new cities, not having a home. This is the first place that Adam and I have officially lived together in that's our place, and that means a lot. A lot of the things that have happened in the last 3 years of my life have been crazy, have been unforgettable, and a lot of that was me dealing with it inside of this apartment. So this apartment just stores so much. So even before we had to think about letting it go, the process of taking things out that we didn't need allowed me to start the process of understanding and processing some of the emotions that might come with having to let something go. This ties back to the seasons of our years, the time of our years, letting go of people, letting go of places, letting go of jobs. Leave something before it leaves you. And what I mean by that is clean out what's left of those plans, of those memories, of those grand to-dos you wanted to do, and find something great about it all. Before you say goodbye to the things that you're holding onto that have already let go of you, whether it's a season, a person, a place, or a thing, find what's great about that memory and then let go. Rather than everybody remind you of what you've lost in life, be the one who reminds them of what you're already looking forward to because you've processed your past. Forget it and just remember tomorrow. No matter what you're going through, what you're scared of leaving behind, what has already left you go that you're still holding on to, take control of that and look forward. There's so much ahead of you, especially as we move into this fall season. And as always, my dear friend, I'm cheering you on. All my love, Jen Glantz. Hey you! Thank you for listening to the You're Not Getting Any Younger podcast. There are hundreds of thousands of pods out there, so thank you for listening to this one. You can find the show notes for this week's episode up on our website, anyyounger.com. Subscribe, rate, and review the You're Not Getting Any Younger podcast on iTunes so that other ears around the world can listen too. Oh, and join our secret You're Not Getting Any Younger Facebook group, where over 1,000 people are talking about how to disrupt their lives, for a good reason, to make it count. Until next week, all my love, Jen Glantz.